Okay, so speaking of prison, I guess we'll segue into it because I do want to talk about your time down, and I want to talk about what you did after because people are going to love this. Um, by the way, thank you for being such a good speaker. Thank you for being one of the 20% that comes on here and really.
Oh, it's hard
brings
to
it.
find someone, I always tell people this, the rarest commodity on the planet is not looks, it's not money, it's not diamonds, it's
I
not
have
gold,
all
it's
of that. Oh, damn it! I don't have
It's
that.
intelligence. It's the rarest commodity.
Yeah.
So when you find somebody else that's smart, even if you don't agree with them, you do agree with them. To me, that's great because you can have these kind of conversations.
It's what makes life worth living.
Most of the time, the words that come out of our mouth are just what we need to say to get through to the next situation.
I know.
Very rarely do we find ourselves actually intellectually engaged in an exchange of ideas.
Yeah. I know, and I'm very lucky that I get to talk to a lot of people, and I actually like all but one guest that I've had on here. I've actually really enjoyed people. So, but yeah, like just not a lot of people have, the gift of gab. So sometimes I got to drag it out of people, right? And they have great stories and they're great people. It's all about how you sell it, right? A McDonald's doesn't sell the best hamburger. They just got the best marketing. So you had one of the best stories and you sold it. So
yeah, well, also I'm not in the position where, all the statutes have run. I had a global plea. Right. I don't have to sit there. Oh, can I say that or not say that?
Okay. So did you have to proffer? Did you have to
No.
they make you tell, you didn't have to confess to anything?
No, I pled guilty. I accepted my responsibility and said I did those things without any other names.
Okay. But you didn't have
to say that in court.
You didn't have to lead them to money. You didn't have to.
I didn't have to.
You just said
nothing.
They just accused you of running a continual criminal enterprise, and you just said guilty.
After the 10E remand from the Ninth Circuit on the first case, that was happening at the same time as those evidentiary hearings. They were just happy to get out of the mess.
Oh, they must have been, right? Do you think you could have gone all the way?
I do, except Al Mayman, another piece of rat. He was on my first case. He got 24 years. He went to Taft. He's not on the second case. I'm still at MDC. Tamer gets extradited. I'm on the second case with him. Well, after we won our appeal, because he won his appeal too. It was our appeal.
Yeah.
He decides to rat then. So now the reason why I took the 15.5, even though I didn't want to, is for the first time, the government's going to have a witness that's actually seen my hands dirty.
And that was Al.
That was Al.
Tamer,
he'd seen Tamer too, because we'd been in Europe together.
Why did he choose to rat?
Al chose to rat because
after he was sentenced,
because he's a sucker for women, and his wife Andrea, who was running up to Taft all the time, driving 3 hours, handling all his shit, when we won our appeal, told him, "Hey, I ran for you this far. I know you're going to be okay now. I have a boyfriend. I'm going to go on my own." Which I think, man, people talk shit about that, but I think that's the most you can realistically hope for.
Yeah.
When you're talking about these kind of sentences.
Yeah, 24 years.
Mean, and she did it in a way where he didn't find out about it.
Right.
And then she told him when she fought, okay, the appeals went, and then he ratted.
So he was just trying to he had 24 years and he was trying to get it because he was pissed off about that.
He wanted to get home right away.
But
if he doesn't rat, then, they're probably going to offer us 10 or 8.
That's interesting. But
I don't think they would have let us go.
You didn't want
the nature of the case.
You didn't want to take the chance that if you kept pushing, he was going to start talking.
We'd already gotten his statements.
Oh, wow. So so it was like, hurry up.
That was the government's, the government was worried about being procedurally and prosecutorial misconduct bounced because of the evidence.
Right.
Right. But my lawyer told me, he's like, look, you're back on appeal on one case. You didn't win yet.
Yeah.
You still have to fight a second case. You didn't win yet.
Yeah.
And then after you win the appeal on the first case, you're going to have to win again. You've got to win 3 in a row here.
You got to know when to hold them or fold them.
You got to win. Yeah. And now and so at that point, and they said no further prosecutions.
Yeah.
So the case was done.
Yeah.
And I took the deal.
What did most of your workers get?
Mine didn't get anything. None of mine were there.
So it was
Tamer had a couple guys who went to trial with us. Most of them got 8 or less. Most of them, Lance White got off. He got found not guilty.
Wow.
It's
wild.
And Dwayne Sanker I think he got 8 or 6. And his aunt actually was the most amazing paralegal ever. I mean, we owe her a ton. She was great.
Wow. Why did this guy Al get so much time?
Eve Smith. She is just, I got to say her name. I always think about whether to say the name or not, but yeah, I owe her so much. I'm happy to say her name any chance I get. She was his aunt. And yeah, she really was very helpful.
No. But I was asking about, I'm sorry. I was asking about the gentleman. I'm trying to figure out how everybody else
Al ended up going, he got bail right away and ended up going home. He works for the DEA now. Actually, not anymore. He was working for them for a while. Then he took off to Romania or somewhere.
Oh, so he did. They gave him an opportunity to rat, even though you had already signed your deal.
No. He already agreed to rat before I signed my deal. That was part of the leverage they used.
I see. Okay. And then the other people in your case, the other rats, I assume they never did any time?
No, a year or two, just until the trial.
Wow. But then it didn't really do them any good, or do you think they...
No, that was the worst part, because if you think about it, the girls got caught with 160,000 pills, 180,000 pills. Yeah. On the guideline, if they don't say a word with their criminal history at that time, they're looking at less than 3 years.
Right.
Now they got 12 points off for their 5K 1.1 substantial assistance. But when they talked, they raised the case up. Right. So the 12 points they got off left them right where they would have started if they just kept their fucking mouth shut.
I know. That's why I didn't cooperate.
Yeah.
Because I saw they didn't have enough evidence. I'm like, and I also didn't know how long I was going to have to work for these guys. Like, do you think the other people that were ratting on you, do you think the feds, when they couldn't really put the CCE on you for any, for like kingpin life terms, do you think they made them go continue to work for them on other people's cases?
If you look at a federal plea agreement, it says in there that you're going to give them information forever.
Yeah. I mean, so they could have gone to Europe and started giving people up there.
The Dutch came over here. They wanted, I got taken to court one day because the Dutch came with a court reporter. That's how I found out that Johan Bovens, I didn't know this. I was already had 30 years. They took me to court. They had a court reporter and the Dutch judge and the Dutch court reporter. They had to ask me questions. I was taking the fifth the whole time, right? Yeah. I didn't say anything, but when they asked me the question, when did you tell Johan Bovens that you were the DEA agent Bill Linehan? That's how I found out. And now I understood why they hated me so bad in the beginning.
Wow. Fascinating. So you never saw anybody again, any of those people that turned on you that were working?
Have I seen any?
Or heard about them or anything?
I haven't seen any of them since I've been out. Oh, no. We ran into Al. So Tamer's at Cicconi's. He calls me one Sunday afternoon. I'm still on supervised release. He's like, Al's here. And so I was like, okay. And he's like, come over. I was like, all right. So we go over there, and Al's sitting at his table with a bunch of people, and he's laughing and pointing fingers and this and that. And me and Tamer are sitting there stewing with this actually Iranian friend of ours, Persian friend of ours. And he's like, oh, well, bro, you're on parole. We can't do anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I know. Just sitting here ordering some food. And Al goes to the bathroom. And me and Tamer look at each other at the same time. And we get up and we're walking, following him in the bathroom. There's video of it. It's like horrible. It looks horrible. Right. And Tamer says, bro, you're on parole. We can't do anything. We're just going to talk to him and scare him. And I'm like, okay. And so we go in the bathroom, and Al's in the stall for like 20 minutes doing blow, right? We're waiting for him to come out of the stall. Both of us are changing places between the urinal and the sink. Yeah. And Fat Sammy is, our boy is, we didn't know this, and he was never in crime with us or anything. He's just a normal friend. He's standing in front of the door. This is Sunday brunch, Cicconi's on Melrose.
Yeah, right? I love Cicconi's.
Not letting anybody in. So finally, Al comes out. I'm standing by the sink. Tamer was standing by the urinal. They push each other. Al's a big dude. He goes to swing, big right hand. And again, like I told you before in court, like so many things are going on at the same time, but everything's like kind of slow, right? Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, okay, I'm going back to prison today because Al's going to hit Tamer, and there's no way he's walking out of this bathroom. But all of a sudden, like a cartoon, his hand comes like this, and it stops just like there's a force field. Tamer giving him a quick jab right to the chin. Literally stopped this far away from Tamer's face, like a cartoon. 1, 2, 3 piece, and then Al falls down. His arm falls in the urinal. Blood spraying everywhere because he popped his lip, but it looked worse than it was. You know, when you get a high pressure area, it sprays, right? But it wasn't like 20 stitches or anything, right? And then Tamer, his arm's in the urinal. He's down on the ground. Tamer gives him another 3 piece, right? And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to get the cars. They'll be in valet. And Tamer and Al, I guess, talk for a second. Because Tamer was the best man at Al's wedding. They had much more history than me and Al had.
Wow.
They know each other for a long time. Al's just a piece of shit.
Right.
Like, you can't, this is the kind of guy, his baby's mom, who was a playmate, it was semi-famous, she died in a chiropractor's chair. This dude has got a Bentley, a Rolls Royce, and a Porsche. And after the baby's mom died, right, he puts up a GoFundMe. Like, what a fucking, you got money, motherfucker. What a, this is the kind of scumbag you're dealing with, right? Like,
so Tamer didn't get in trouble though?
No. So anyway, they talk, whatever. I get the cars. Tamer comes out. I notice him. You know, he didn't look dressed the same, but I wasn't paying attention. I was just worried about getting out of there. I'm on parole for like 6 more months. 2 months after I get off parole, the police show up at Tamer's house in the Hollywood Hills. They leave a card. Tamer calls me. He's like, bro, this cop left a card, says he has a warrant for me. I'm going in tomorrow. Will you make sure that the bail bondsman and lawyer's there? I was like, they wouldn't tell you what it was? He's like, no. And I was like, all right. So he goes in the morning. I'm at the tech company that I started, right? At the office that we work in Playa Vista. And I'm sitting there and I call the lawyer and I'm like, wanting to know what happened with Tamer. He's out. Everything's okay. And Tiffany's like, well, Tamer's bail just got posted. He's not out yet, but they have a warrant for you also. So you may as well come down here because I got the bail bondsman here. We'll get you out.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even ask. At that point, I could have asked what it was for. I just didn't. I said, okay. I jumped in the car and I go down there because it's also Valentine's Day. And I'm dating the woman who happens to be my wife now. And this is in the very beginning. So I want to get this over with so it's not even a subject, right?
Right.
Whatever it is. I figure it's the sheriff's department. It's not the feds. Who fucking cares?
Yeah,
what can it be?
Right.
We ran a red light or something.
Yeah.
Fuck them. So anyway, I get there. They lock me up. Bail's $140,000.
Jesus.
It's
now
fucking,
in Cali, do you put up 10% of that?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's the same in
But
Oregon.
it was for assault with a deadly weapon, attempted murder, extortion.
Jesus.
Al had made a report. And he said that we both beat the shit out of him and I had brass knuckles and da-da-da, and he had 80 stitches and was knocked unconscious and all this shit, right? So anyway, we get out and I'm like, whoa, what the f-? Tamer's freaking out. Da-da-da. I tell the lawyer, I'm like, get me the discovery. Tamer calls me that night. He's like, oh my God, what the f- is this, dude? I'm so sorry. Da, da, da. I can't believe I got you in this shit. He's like, but Al was never unconscious. And now Tamer tells me, Al texted me afterward, hey, glad we got that out of the way. We should talk. Right?
Good. I hope he had that text.
Yeah, he had that text. And Tamer also tells me that he switched shirts with him. And I remembered, wow, something didn't look right about it, but I was worried about getting out of there, right? Because Al had blood all over his shit. So Tamer gave him his shirt. Right? He had an undershirt on underneath. It just walked out in an undershirt and had Al's jacket that was white turned inside out because it was covered in blood. So Al had a clean shirt, right? That looked a little small on him.
Right.
So anyway, we get to discovery and I'm like, I'm going to represent myself because I'm literally like going to be like, I'm going to leave it ambiguous to the jury, but I'm going to tell him this is the kind of dude whose baby mom dies that he never gave a nickel, who's got a Rolls Royce and a Porsche and puts up a GoFundMe for his daughter. I figure that gives me a 50-50 with the state jury.
Yeah.
Right? Like, whatever happened.
Plus,
I know I didn't touch him.
Right. Plus, I basically beat the feds. So
yeah.
Come see me.
Yeah. So, winner in the losers bracket. Let's keep it real.
Exactly.
So anyway, I get the discovery a couple days later. The lawyer gets it. And I said, I want the video from Ciccone. And she's like, I got it. And they have one video, right? One camera feed. And that shows me and Tamer, and we look like hoodlums following this dude in the bathroom, right? Like, Anyway, I said, I need all the camera feeds. So I get all the camera feeds, and Tamer's like really freaking out. He's worried now, right? And I'm like, first of all, something's wrong here because they made this report while I was on paper. The feds must have turned this down. Because this happened 8 months ago.
Right.
Right. And I was on paper until 2 months ago.
So what, and by the way, what could the feds have given you if they had violated you?
Well, they give you the violation. And then if they want to give you new charges, they can give me up to 5 years on the violation.
Right. Okay.
And then new charges, they can give you on top of that.
Witness intimidation.
Yeah, whatever it was, right? Yeah. So he's saying that's what we said. Oh, you got to give us $250,000 a month for this, whatever, right? For ratting on us and all. None of that was said. I mean, statute is up on that. I'd be happy to tell you if that's what we did.
Yeah,
right. Like, so anyway, I get the camera feeds, and I noticed Al doing a coke deal. I noticed the coke dealer come into the restaurant. I noticed that when Al walks to the bathroom, that dude had walked there first. I noticed that before Al goes in the bathroom, that dude puts the cocaine in his pocket. So first thing at state, hey, if you're going to charge us for a crime here, you got to charge him also. Number one. Then I'm watching more of it. When he comes out after we're gone, he comes out of the bathroom 2 minutes later. He wasn't unconscious, and he wasn't stumbling up to his table. And he also stood by his table for 8 minutes, and he had a napkin here where his lip got busted.
Right.
But at the 3 minute and 11 mark, he removed it, and it wasn't bleeding anymore.
Right. And he had the presence of mind to switch shirts with his attacker.
But someone who just got knocked unconscious with brass knuckles or a lead pipe, as he said, is not going to be standing by their table for 8 minutes and finishes his cocktail and orders another one while he's standing, right? So we beat that case.
Okay, so
straight up.
Did they drop it?
They dropped it.
Yeah.
As soon as we had our lawyer, Tamer's lawyer, Randy, who's a dear friend of ours, who was working with us, and Tiffany also, but I wanted to represent myself. So Randy was being the friend of the court for me to help me with like procedural shit.
Nice.
Right.
So that one's easy. You got that one tossed.
Yeah, so we got that one tossed, but that was the only one we ran into. Yeah.
Wow, that's wild. Did Tamer get in any trouble for punching him a couple
of times? No, we beat the case because the dude obviously lied.
Right.
He wasn't. Whatever happened in that bathroom, he came out with Tamer's clothes on.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in that bathroom, he texted Tamer afterward.
Yeah.
Whatever happened in that bathroom, he didn't get knocked unconscious. He was staying there. Whatever happened in that bathroom was a lot of cocaine because. He's saying that he was knocked unconscious and we were beat. But remember, he was in the stall doing coke the whole time. And now here's the coke dealer who just gave it to him before he went in.
And no prosecutor wants that case. They're like, this is a lying witness. He just caught lying right here. Dropping it. Yeah. Wow. That's so funny.
Tamer was trying to pressure his friends who know Al not to go to trial. And I was like, I want to go to trial. I want to finally put in the record what a scumbag this guy is. Like, because when he got out after he ratted, he's running around town telling everybody he's still friends with us.
So how did a lot of these guys, sounds like they still have money. Are they rich guys or like family money, or are they just good entrepreneurs? Like,
no. When you come home as a rat, that's what you keep doing. And you run up bills with people that you're going to rat on. And that's how you make your money. They all do it.
Yeah.
And those government checks for seizures and all that.
Yeah.
Besides what you owe on the side, you didn't tell the feds about, right? That they're never going to get back from you. Those are all tax free.
Yeah.
So it's a new career for them.
Wow. What a scumbag. Okay. So tell us about, that's the problem with beating up a rat. They're a rat. You're going to get ratted on.
But I will say, people say that it doesn't make you feel better. But I felt better.
Yeah, for sure.
Just watching Tamer do that, I felt better.
Yeah.
And Tamer felt better.
Good. And no real harm.
Yeah.
No real harm done.
He got 6 punches, Tamer. And it was really like a moment in my life it was literally like a cartoon. I swear to God, I thought Tamer I saw that right hand coming and like a force field. It was amazing. And it was just a straight left jab. Tamer hit him right on the fucking button and then gave him 2 more and watched him with his arm in the urinal where we'd just been pissing.
Yeah,
that was
that's
good.
Hilarious.
Then I was thinking, I wish I hadn't have flushed it.
Oh, there's some pubes in there, I'm sure. Yeah. Okay, so tell us about Lompoc. You go there, you get there 2003?
I get there end of 2003.
So you're at a USP. Why did they send you to a high security? Why didn't they send you to a mid?
My points were capped. They gave me a double management variable. And they said I was there. They called my appeal attorney, Chuck Sevilla, a week after I was there.
Yeah.
And say, does he like the penitentiary? Is he ready to talk to us yet? They did that on purpose.
Wow.
But it actually set up the rest of my time to be easy because I met the big boys.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when I was traveling through FCIs as I came down in security, everybody knew that, and the thing about prison there, like one, a Vibe article, two, when you get to prison and you're really a dude who really did $1 million dope deals, when they look up your case, it says largest ecstasy case in U.S. history. When they go to the law library, when you have your driver's license or people like their PSR, but the real one is a sentencing transcript. Because if you're a rat, they could change everything else, but your lawyer's got to ask for that cooperation.
Right.
Right. So the sentencing transcript, when they outlawed the pre-sentence reports, you have your sentencing transcript as your driver's license. For them, it was, and Gato, Mexican mafia dude he's passed on now, who had the yard there when I got there with Black Bob. They both told me, they're like, dude, guys like you rat. And you represented yourself and you took a 30-year hit and then fought a life case representing yourself.
Yeah.
You're good.
Oh, I can't imagine.
And so I used to walk the track with Gato in the mornings. He did heroin all the time, but he'd be up sometimes at 7 a.m. doing burpees, this old man,
wow.
And so anyway, I get there and I found out once I was there and I was cool. I met the head AB dude there, Bobby Ray. Me and him were cool. Later on when I was in TI, the AB, TD and Barry and all them dudes, they were having their RICO trial. I was in Terminal Island. They were holding them at Terminal Island instead of MDC.
Oh, interesting.
In the shoe at Terminal Island. So when I got thrown in the shoe at Terminal Island, I walk in and they're like, "You're Jewish Lewis?" I'm like, because they saw the star. I'm like, yeah. They're like, "Who's going to get us our cigarettes now?"
That's hilarious, Jewish Lewis. Yeah. Dude, that's hilarious, bro.
So so I was in there with them at TI and I learned a lot of things. Like when I was in MDC and I was on my way to the pen, you hear these stories that people tell, right? These crazy stories of violence and all kinds of crazy shit. And so you get scared. You think, I was scared when I pulled up to USP Long Park. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. You walk up to that barbed wire and those concrete buildings and the bars on the concrete bunkers are rusted out.
Yeah.
You look like a nuclear fallout shelter. There's no green grass in between the bar. It's all dirt and concrete. Oh, wow. The only green grass is on the backside on the yard, which you don't see when you pull up. Prisons don't look like they used to in the 60s, right?
No, it looks like Shawshank or something.
Yeah, it looks like Judge Dredd.
Right.
Like you pull up there, right? And then right across the street is this beautiful camp. All green grass, no fence, da-da-da. And the cops knew who I was. They saw me looking over there. That ain't for you, bro. You're going there.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So anyway, you get there, but what I realized hanging out with these guys and spending time with them is that all these people were acting like super tough gangsters for having been at the pen and being back on a violation or a new case and talking about it. Dude, they took 20 years of stories and put it into a day. Those stories that I heard that these people told, sometimes they'd happen, but they happened 10 years before that person was there. They just heard it and they tell it because I think a lot of times people come out of the pen and they want you to think that they're tough just because they were there.
Yeah, sure.
So they take this kind of like stolen valor thing, same thing they're talking about walls about, right? Like just because you were there, listen, I was there. I know all them dudes. In fact, I got a few of them that owe me favors. We basically streamlined the banking system there. We had a lot of people that owed us a lot of favors, me and Tamer, right? But I didn't come out of there any tougher than I went in. Right. I mean,
was Tamer in there with you?
Yeah. We were in there together.
I'm shocked that they did that.
Yeah. So 8 months after he got there, they shipped me to Terminal Island and put a separation order on us that we could never be in the same prison again. Because Tamer's Egyptian. So he runs with the blacks.
Oh.
Right.
Interesting.
I'm Jewish. I'm white because that's how I look. Right. But I'm a known associate of the Mexican mafia and actually the only known associate of both, the AB and the Mexican mafia. Tamer's black. Like I said, nobody runs upstream, but we could certainly swim across stream.
Right.
And we streamline the banking system.
What does that mean?
So stamps are money in federal prison, right? So these dudes, AB dudes, Brand and Black Hand dudes, they get a third of whatever their car brings in. So Mexican brings in 3 balloons of heroin, they got to kick one upstairs. So these dudes, and guys running a book, he's got to kick up a third of his profits. Guys running a store, he's got to kick up a third of his profits. Like, you're selling fucking...
And that's universal. That goes for everybody.
Well, in high security, I don't know that they enforce it in Lowe's. They don't enforce it in Lowe's and camps.
Right.
In a prison behind the wall, a real prison, yes.
Okay.
That's happening all through California and all through the
Even a
feds
guy
and
like
everything.
you, if you were running a store, you would have to kick up to the whites, I guess?
Yeah.
The AB?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
I found my way where I realized, okay, these dudes, so if a book of stamps costs $5 then for 20 stamps. On the yard, you can buy it for $4. That's how it recycles. So you got a book of stamps from someone for heroin. I'm going to give you that book of stamps. I'm going to say, Johnny, you going to the store this week? You're going to say, yeah. I'm going to say, you're going to buy stamps? You're like, yeah. I'm going to go, okay. Regulatory advantage the feds gave us when they made them forever stamps. Right?
Yeah.
So, hey, Johnny, don't spend 5, spend 4. Get me 2 Snickers and a Crest and a hairbrush.
I see.
And you'll get me that, and I'll give you the book for you made $1.
Right.
And it scales because some dudes, they only let you buy 3 books of stamps whenever you go, but the law library needs them all the time. People write home all the time. This is also, you got to remember, this is before they introduced the email systems to the prisons, which came later around 2010, right? So there was a huge need for stamps, but still, these dudes ended up with thousands of books of stamps, and they basically had to act like De Beers. They had to sequester those to not drop the value of them on the yard. So I go to them and I say, I could do what was the most valuable thing, and Tamer could do what was the most valuable thing in prison. It's not putting money on someone's account. It's not buying stamps from them. It's not bringing drugs in. Street to street. I don't know if you guys had that in Oregon, but when a street person sends street cash to another street person, that is the most valuable thing in prison.
Yeah, that's almost how everything happened when I was in Oregon. I didn't really see. I know there was people had some cash at OSP, like the real penitentiary, but it was mostly street to street.
Yeah, so street to street. Now, what most people did in the feds when I was there is they'd send money to somebody's account, or they'd send small amounts. The heroin junkies are sending 50s and 100s. But, your wife is going to lose her apartment, and this is actually how it started. Going to lose her apartment, and she needs $4,000 by Friday. I heard about that. So I went to one of the dudes, and I said, listen, man, I know you got 2,000 books of stamps. He's like, I do. And I was like, okay, if you give those to me, your wife will have the 4,000 on Thursday. So I got those books of stamps for $2. Now I'm De Beers sequestering.
Right.
So I'm letting them out to my friends. I have a basis cost of $2, right? I'm letting them out to and nobody can touch me because of who I bought them from.
I see.
Nobody can tax me now.
All right.
I'm in that vein, right?
Yeah.
Whether you're getting them from the Mexican Mafia or the AB, like they're not going to touch you because you are useful. You provide a valuable service.
Sure.
So much better to have me performing a service, right? So I perform a valuable service. So what we did is we centralized it. We took Zelle and Cash App and Venmo and made it centralized. Me and Tamer, you need money on your books. You need money at your house. You need stamps. You need commissary. We could do any transaction now.
Because you guys had money on the street, so you could help people and then exchange for stamps.
Yeah, and the way the economy in prison worked was I just paid $2 for those books of stamps. I take 100 books of stamps to my friend Johnny Mitchell, and I say, Johnny Mitchell, here's a $300 list. I just gave you 100 books of stamps. That means there's $100 left for you. Yeah. Life-changing economy for most people.
Right.
So you have the upper dudes that you're buying them from who are happy as with you and love you because my paperwork's clean. I got a great story. Yeah. I'm not scared to hang out and deal with them. They mentioned that multiple times. Our own people are scared to hang out with us. You're not. I'm like, why? Where am I going to go? A different part of the prison? Where can you guys not reach? Yeah. And they used to laugh, everything comes to a head in prison.
Yeah, sure.
Right? Me and you can not like each other and go our separate ways today, and never see each other again. But in prison, that ain't happening. We're going to come to a resolution.
Yeah.
So I give you love me now. Now I got the regular guys, the soldier dudes who love me because I just gave you $100.
Right.
For standing at the store a few times and cycling my stamps.
Selling them.
So
Right.
I'm not going to the store. I don't have to put money on my books because I have a fine, which they take anyway.
Right.
I don't have to worry about store day if some new product comes in. If they get Captain Crunch with Crunch Berries, I don't have to worry that they're going to be gone by the time my store day comes. I got somebody going every day.
Wow.
So that's what we did. We centralized that. That system still exists.
That is absolutely fascinating. God. Entrepreneur you are, man. That's wild. So you were there for 8 months?
I was there. Yeah. Well, I was there for about 10 months.
Okay.
And Tamer got there actually closer to a year. Tamer got there 3 weeks after me. 8 months after, so it was 9 months. Eight months after Tamer got there, they separated us and sent me to Terminal Island.
So
but I was already locked in. I was,
Yeah.
I was guaranteed if I didn't do anything completely stupid, I was never going to have a problem.
Yeah, totally. So you never got a write-up your whole time?
Oh, I got write-ups, but they were never able to take time from me. They couldn't make them stick. And I was a disaster to them in the shoe. When they put me in the shoe, like they don't give you magazines, they make you apply for a visit. I went and got all the full BOP program statements, not the ones they hand you in the library that are missing part 3 or part 2 or part G or this or that. I got them all and I had them sent to me legal mail. Oh, you're not giving magazines. Oh yeah, because people are putting them over the lights. They're a security risk. Oh, well here, this policy statement says that group punishment is not allowed. If somebody's putting them over their lights, you have to write them a shot and do that. And unless you think that I'm passing them that, you cannot deny me my mail. They had to give everybody. And so then they shipped me right away after that.
They must hate that. I was going to say.
Yeah, but I knew how to do it right. I did it at Safford. I them over at Safford, Arizona. You had to ask the captain for visits, right? I was like, no, that is a policy that you've instated when someone's in administrative detention. But the program statement says that while in administrative detention, before a guilty finding, you will be allowed visits. It'll be the least restrictive as possible to maintain institutional security. And unless I did something in the visiting room, you cannot deny me visits. And more than that, you can't make me ask you for permission because by default, I have them. You have to make a new finding that I'm a security risk based on what I did in order to deny me visits or make me ask you for them.